Mm.
Good evening and welcome to our June Committee of the Whole meeting. We are together tonight just to review the agenda items for our July 9th regular board meeting. I will start with a roll call. Director Barrows is not able to attend tonight, but Director Zavala
Here.
and Director Decker,
Here.
Director Smith,
Here.
and I am also here. So we can go ahead and jump into the agenda.
Thank you, Director Sproul. I have a short superintendent's report this evening. You also might want to highlight, you spent a lot of evenings over the last week and a half attending graduations. Thank you for that. Amazing events. Each one is a little unique to the school and the culture of that school. So it's kind of fun to see that play out in the respective graduations. Our communications team has done an exceptional job. This went live yesterday already. It's the Graduates 2024 page. So on this, it has a bunch of different photos that are in folders so families can access those, students can access those. Great photography of the events. And then there's also the archived video of the ceremonies as well on this page. So just want to make sure people are aware of that. We had 1,617 students cross the stage last week and the week prior. It's a lot of graduates. And I think I put in this parentheses met standard and quotation marks because there's a lot of media attention and sometimes it's just about the state assessments and where our students are at or not at. And certainly we appreciate that data and we always want to get better and make sure our kids have everything that they need. But I think it's a little bit just artificial to say that one snapshot in time is an assessment of where our students are and their capabilities. And certainly when we get them for whatever time of their journey up to graduation, these students met standard. They met all the requirements of the state, our district. They're going out and either going on to a continued education or into the field of work or into our armed forces. They're amazing, amazing kids. They earned over $13 million in grants and scholarships. And so I think we need to do a better job. I need to do a better job of communicating the larger picture of our school district and how, just like as a father, I have 3 kids and all of my kids are at the same point at the same time in their learning journey. The same thing happens for us in education. And there is a point where everybody is at the same place, and that is at graduation. And I just want to celebrate that and compliment our students and compliment our staff as well, and the families for this momentous occasion, right? And so I'll pause, and you all were at those graduations. You made great remarks at the graduations. We shook a lot of hands and did a lot of high fives at the graduation. So I'll pause here and see if there's any comments.
I'll just say, I mean, this is always the highlight week of the year. And I love how each ceremony has its own unique character reflecting the character of the school. And I think what's in the last couple of years, we've there's a buildup with all the videos that we publish on social media, and you kind of see the reflections back at the school experience, and then all of the posts and photos that are shared. So I think, Jeff, you just mentioned a website, but I want to give a shout out to our communications department because it's such a nice look, even for those that can't participate and can't be there. It feels like celebration.
I forgot, we interviewed over 800 seniors in the senior exit interviews as well. Collected all that information about their experiences, used that information to help us get better. And then there's also a short senior exit interview video as well that really awesome to just hear students talking about their hopes and the impact that staff had on them or their classmates or experiences had. So really great resources if people are interested in digging in a little deeper.
I think those personal testimonies of how individual staff, people impacted their journey. I mean, it gives goosebumps. So they're wonderful to have.
It's so sweet, and every so often one of the teachers that's mentioned or one of the educators that's mentioned will, put something on Facebook, and you can just tell how impactful the fact that that child said something about them even later on is to the teacher. So it goes both ways. So it's a great tool for a lot of different reasons.
I think we were all exhausted by the end of the week, but it's like such a good exhausted because it's one of my, well, at least for me as well, as one of my favorite weeks. It's the hardest week I think of the year. We're up really late, but it's the most rewarding part of the work. So yeah.
One last comment. I think it's also fun that the tradition of the grad walks, just that we're bringing the celebration back to our littles, the elementary school kiddos that kind of see the journey ahead. So, anyways, and all of it is shared so beautifully on our social media channels. So thank you.
Hey, thank you for your comments. And last day of school today, right? So we can't forget that either. And so crazy is that these 180 days go really quickly. And I know that it shifts gears in the summer, and we start to think about next year. Obviously, we already have been. We do have a meeting on July 9th. We've mentioned in our previous meetings the budget adoption process in the August meeting. So just making sure people are aware of what's coming up. Tonight, we will walk through some of the agenda items for the July 9th board meeting. I'll go ahead and share screen around the contracts, and I'll ask if Brett could highlight some areas, and as always, interrupt if you have questions. And then we'll document any questions either now that come in or later, and make sure the board's ready for the July 9th meeting. So I'll pull that up, Brett, and turn it over to you.
All right, thank you very much. So yeah, all of you have been on the board for a while, so some of these are going to look very familiar. So I'll move through pretty quickly because they're kind of annual renewals for the most part. So just jump right in with the first one, which is our recommendation to award bid number 2024-003 for produce in our school cafeterias. And as you may have read, we have a new vendor here. As a result of our competitive bidding process, we're recommending that we award the business to Caruso Produce in the estimated amount of $525,000 plus Washington State sales tax. Maybe I'll keep moving through a few of them and then we'll pause at the end because they're, like I say, they're pretty routine. Second one is also in our cafeterias. This is just for other food and supply products. It's a bid number 2022-020-3. This is a renewal of something that was originally bid in 2022. And of note on this one, I won't read all of the categories. There's a recommendation that we continue to award certain products and business to McDonald's wholesale, which is different than McDonald's fast food. Have to make that note every year. And then certain baked goods, which would be Goody Man distributing. And then lastly, Dairy Fresh Farms. And then the last comment on this one, you'll notice that you may have noticed McDonald and Dairy Fresh both have sour cream and yogurt. The infamous sour cream and yogurt overlap that created an audit finding. Our opinion is, and we're seeking some confirmation, but our opinion is, since this is a renewal of a previously awarded contract, even though it's flawed in the auditor's eyes, we need to renew it intact. But where we think we can remedy the audit finding next year is just to not buy from one of the contracts. So we'll select the preferred contract, which covers this voluminous yogurt and sour cream business that we're offering, and we'll only buy from one of the two contracts. But so anyway, a lot on that, but just in case you noticed, hey, wait a minute, this is history repeating itself. We were trying to figure out where's the way to tap dance through that minefield of renewing contracts that were flawed, but not having the audit finding. The next item is, we have two items that are relating to athletic uniforms and supplies. The first one is a opportunity to buy through BSN Sports. It's purchase agreement 2024-017. And again, it's uniforms and supplies. The estimated amount there is 300,000 plus Washington State sales tax, and that would be funded by both general fund and ASBs by certain athletic equipment, depending on the nature of the investment and who pays for it. So that's a price list that's basically bid through Omnia Partners, and they have certain niche and specialties that certain coaches and athletic directors prefer off of that. And then we also have our own competitively bid contract number 2024-007-1. And that is for a variety of providers, BSN Sports, Rydell American, and MFAC, to provide also uniforms and equipment that best meet our athletes and athletic departments' preferences, needs. That also is funded by a combination of ASB and general funds. So again, those are renewals or kind of continuations of past practices for procuring those. Pause momentarily if there's any questions. All right, then we'll move into the next group of kind of routine renewals or updates. And the first one is purchase agreement 2024-019 for copy machine maintenance and repairs. And again, we'll continue to award that business to, we are recommending to continue to award that business to Pacific Office Automation, a longtime partner in this space. Estimated cost is 150,000 plus for the year, plus Washington State sales tax. Obviously, that entails all of our buildings and all of the machines that are serviced by Pacific Office Automation. And then you can't have copiers without paper. So our recommendation to award bid number 2024-020 is our annual process by which we ask authority to go out to the market several times during the year. We don't predetermine a vendor on this one, as you might recall, because it is a commodity and the market is very volatile. So we want the flexibility. We recommend the flexibility to go out 3 or 4 times a year and find the most competitive offerings at that point in time and award those as we need them and as the market evolves. The estimated cost of the paper for the year is 400,000 plus Washington State sales tax. And then the last one in this group is custodial supplies under purchase agreement number 2024-021. And our recommendation is we continue to work with Walter E. Nelson under an extension of a competitively bid product solicitation. Estimated cost for those custodial supplies is 475,000 plus Washington State sales tax for the coming year. Any questions on those 3 kind of annual processes that we do? Okay, then we'll move on to a couple special service recommendations that we have. One of them is a continuation of one that you've seen many years, and the other is a new one. Starting with the new one, ESD 112 has started a therapeutic behavior center to support special needs of students within our community and ESD 112 region. This is programming that we're not effectively or viably able to provide for those students. And so this will likely usurp some of the residential placements that you've seen. Won't solve all of, or won't provide the necessary support for all of those students that have those highly evolved needs, but certainly it'll be a interim step for us to keep those students in their community and providing the services that they need. The estimated cost per student is, again, as this program evolves and as our IEP teams assess our students and their needs and opportunities, it could expand to multiple students, but initially we're asking for the authority to contract with ESD for $250,000 per student. And again, that number of students could evolve as IEP teams determine appropriate and necessary. The second special service contract was formerly Maxim Healthcare Provider. They're now called Emergis Education. And as you might recall, when we're unable to hire internally for all of the necessary specialty positions such as RNs, OTs, occupational therapists, speech language pathologists, board certified behavior specialists, and paraprofessionals, among a few other categories. We contract with Maxim, formerly Maxim, now Emergis. So again, this is a long continuing process. We try our hardest to hire those staff internally. We hire many of them from Emergis as the non-compete clause lapses. But for that interim service to provide the necessary IEP determined supports for our students, we're recommending that we continue with Emergis in an amount not to exceed $3 million a year. So again, we've had to lean on them highly over the last few years. We do believe it's getting better in terms of our ability to fill all those positions, or not all of them, but more of the positions internally. So there's a couple on special service and supporting students with IEPs in the appropriate way. Hearing no questions on that, I'll move into our group of technology renewals or products. All of these I'll mention ahead of time. I think there's 3 or 4 of them. Are all supported by the tech levy within the general fund. So these are dedicated, this is dedicated funding that our community provides for the support of technology services and supports for students. So these are dollars that we can't legitimately repurpose for non-technology reasons. So for the year, we are recommending that we continue with CrowdStrike, which provides that endpoint licensing in the amount of $272,909.25 plus Washington state sales tax. As CrowdStrike might insinuate, that's basically kind of some of our filtering, some of our network protection. That's the platform that provides that network security and support. The second one within the technology group, again funded by the tech levy specifically, is the renewal of purchase agreement 2022-054-3. And that is with EduPoint, who is the company that provides Synergy, our student record system. And so I know we've had some bumps and stops and starts on this, but we believe we're hopefully over the hump on that and we'll have a much more successful year. The cost to continue Synergy student record support is $280,616 plus Washington state sales tax. And then I believe the last one within the technology group is the recommendation to renew bid number 2023-020-2. And again, it's a renewal of a agreement we've had with Nova Coast Incorporated to support our network support. And let's see if I can catch the couple primary focuses of that. So yeah, they provide basically server configuration support and some enterprise management extensions in the amount of $112,050 plus Washington state sales tax. Any questions on the technology related renewals? All right, we're winding up here with our last 2. Next one is a pretty innocuous one to allow Lake Oswego School District to tap into our competitively bid, cooperatively bid purchases. It only helps us to have more volume on those to motivate vendors to bid aggressively and responsively to our solicitations for bids. So it's a win-win for us. But that would be Intergovernmental Purchasing Agreement number 2024-022. And again, no cost on that. It just adds more bulk to our buying power. And then our last one is an annual process that we ask the board to take action every summer This one is declaration of surplus property number 2024-018. And what that does is, rather than have the board specifically surplus property as it's identified and necessary every month, every week, it allows you guys to delegate us within the parameters of the statutes that govern the surplusing and disposition of surplus property. We're bound by the terms of the recommendation and law to execute your authority on your behalf to navigate those surplus properties, and again, disposition in the most economically beneficial way for the district. So that's a pretty quick dash through a whole bunch of items. Any questions before we transition? All right, thank you.
So we have a first reading is the next part for a policy, and I'll turn it over to Taylor just to give the board a quick update about this one.
All right, thanks. So this is an update to policy 6020. It does two main things. One, we incorporate some recommended WASDA language for permissible expenditures with the capital projects fund. That language just more closely aligns with RCW 28A.530.010. And then the second update to the policy is to incorporate some new RCW language into our permissible uses for our transportation vehicle fund. And those uses have been expanded to some of the electrification processes that we are starting to go through and might want to continue for our bus fleet. So that's updates to RCW 28A.160.130 that we would be incorporating into this policy. So those are the two aspects that are updated in policy 6020. Are there any questions?
Thanks, Taylor. Thanks, Brett.
Thanks.
The last area is under teaching and learning. There is a recommendation to approve instructional materials for, it says use in 23-24 school year, but that really should say 20 beyond, right? When you're approving them, it's not just the current year. As usual, I'll pull up the report. It has information about the title of the book, a summary, any potential challenging content. There is one book that has been flagged for challenging content. It's Killers of the Flower Moon. This is designed to be used in 11th and 12th grade English classroom, and it outlines the challenging content and where the book would potentially fit into scope and sequence of the course. All the other ones were not flagged as having challenging content. So as always, if you're wanting more information, there is the meeting notes from the Instructional Materials Committee, and happy to follow up with anything that the board would like. And then the second area under teaching and learning is actually to select a mascot for VITA, Vancouver Innovation Technology and Art School. There is a process that's outlined in policy that the team at VITA has went through that actually finished it sooner than bringing it. We could have had it on the agenda last month, and my apologies for not moving it forward faster. You all had a lot on your plate, and so we're here in July to potentially approve this. As per the policy, the mascot, there's 3 selections for that, and the team is recommending explorers. You'll note that this was a strong recommendation from the team. The other 2 considerations for the mascot are the astronauts and the rockets. And so that's there for your potential approval as well. And that is what we have planned for the July 9th meeting. And so I'll stop sharing my screen and see if there are any questions.
Around the mascot. So at the board meeting, do we approve a specific name? Or do we, okay, so we approve a specific name.
Yeah, if you wanted us to do something different, if there wasn't something on the list that you felt like, there was something missing, then you would let me know and I would go back to the committee. But I think the recommendations are all in alignment. And so it would be you as a director team to somebody review that and maybe make a recommendation, in a second and vote on it.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
It doesn't look like a big agenda for July. So I appreciate all of those details. And then our next meeting is a regular board meeting in July. It's July 9th at Bates Center. And that will be our only July meeting for the board. Without further ado, I will adjourn the meeting, unless anyone else has anything. Okay, have a good night.
Night.